Hello everyone and thank you for coming today. My name is Lucy. I am a member of Speakeasy Now Health Checkers team. I am here with other members of the co-production team. We have worked together to put this session on today. I will now ask the team to introduce themselves. So I'm Lucy and I'm a health checker for Speakeasy Now.
Hi, I'm Becky. I'm a health checker for Speakeasy Now.
Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm a health checker for Speakeasy Now.
Hi, I'm Jane Whitehouse and I'm a dolls assessor working for Worcestershire County Council.
Hello, my name's Natasha Watt. I'm a best interest assessor with Jane over at the dolls team at Worcestershire County Council.
Hello, I'm Rebecca Cole and I work with Inclusion North.
Hi, I'm Sam and I'm health checker among a load of other things for Speakeasy Now.
Hello, I'm Gail Greer. I work for Speakeasy Now. I'm Health Checkers Project Coordinator.
Nick, Speakeasy and Health Staying Healthy Group.
Hi, I'm Daniel. I'm a health checker.
Hi everybody, I'm Janine. I work for Onside Advocacy and I'm an Advocacy Services Manager.
What this session is about. This session is all about helping people with learning disabilities to make the right decision about their health. This is really important to us. We know that sometimes people with learning disabilities do not get the help they need to make the right decisions. We want to make sure that people who support us understand what we need to happen.
We want to help you understand some of the difficulties that people with learning disabilities have had and how things could be made better. Some of us will be talking about our own and other people's experiences. We will tell you about the Learning from the Lives and Deaths of People with Learning Disabilities and Autism programme. This is known as LeDeR. We will also tell you about reasonable adjustments and give you examples. We will tell you about the Mental Capacity Act because this tells us what should be done. We will be talking about advocacy services and human rights.
We won't be able to answer questions during the session, but there will be an opportunity for you to stay on and ask questions at the end. Please use the chat box and we will look at that as we go along. We hope to enjoy the session. We hope you enjoy this session and find it helpful. We would really appreciate your feedback too if you can help, can take time to let us know how helpful this session has been.
Why my health is important to me. These days, staying healthy, exercising regularly, eating healthy and looking after myself as a person is really important. Hopefully, it will help me live longer and feel better about myself as a person. It puts me in a really good mood when I am able to go out and enjoy myself and not worry about anything. Life is way too short, so it's really important that you look after yourself, enjoy life and make sure you are happy. It is important to do the things you enjoy and want to do in life and spend it with people you love and care for. I have not always been like this in the past. Here is my story. I have had experiences in the past where I have not been listened to about my non-epileptic seizures. It took years for people to listen and to get it diagnosed as non-epileptic seizures. This did affect my health as I was missing buses and having non-epileptic seizures more often. People were just thinking they were daydreams when they were not. I had a neurological appointment, which was all fine, and they said that there was nothing wrong. I felt very annoyed and very frightened as I did not know what was going on. I was scared to go out on my own and started to feel very sad. I then visited the learning disability team and they diagnosed me with non-epileptic seizures. They referred me to psychology. I had a year of psychology, which taught me how to cope and manage the non-epileptic seizures. It changed my life so much as I was able to go out and do a lot more. It made me feel a lot better inside too. I also used to struggle with my bowels a lot, and that was because I did not go as often or used to hold it in. That caused me some problems as I struggled to go to the toilet a lot and used to get constipated. But when I started to talk to people about going for a poo, people said that it was nothing to be ashamed of and that it's perfectly normal. That changed me as a person as well and has helped my health a lot. I am now not afraid to go to the loo or embarrassed about it. So that is another reason why I think my health is important, because if that had carried on, it could have got a lot worse and I could have ended up really ill.
In March this year, I fell over and I broke a bone in my little toe. In April, I had an appointment at the fracture clinic. My support worker came with me to the appointment. I saw the foot specialist. He told me he was one of the best to see for broken bones. He seemed to be in a rush and didn't stay long. I didn't have a chance to ask him any questions. My support worker asked him if I should be having physiotherapy. The consultant said I didn't need physiotherapy. Then he left. He wasn't with me for very long. I went back to the fracture clinic for a second appointment in May. I've been worried about my toes as it didn't seem to be getting better. My support worker helped me write down questions that I wanted to ask, so I would remember them. This time I saw a different doctor. He spoke directly to me and asked me how I was. He thought I was having physiotherapy. I told him that the consultant had said I was worried and had some questions. He asked me what they were. He listened to me carefully and answered all my 7 questions. He checked that I understood that he said he thought physiotherapy would help my recovery and arranged for this to happen. My toe is now healed and I've been discharged from physiotherapy. I was disappointed with my treatment at first and felt confused and worried. I didn't know how long it would take to recover and what to expect. The second doctor I saw made a big difference. He treated me with respect, listened to what I had to say and gave me good information and advice that I could understand.
You're on mute, Luce.
Sorry, I'm talking. Oh, sorry. LeDeR was set up in 2017 to make services better for people with learning disabilities. In 2021, LeDeR now includes autistic people. LeDeR does this by learning from the lives and deaths of people with a learning disability and autistic people. The aim of LeDeR is to improve health and social care for people with learning disabilities and autistic people, to reduce health inequalities for people with learning disabilities and autistic people. Health inequalities are unfair. They mean that some people do not always get the same standard of care as other people. To stop people from dying too soon by making care better. People with a learning disability continue to have a much shorter life than other people. 6 out of 10 people with a learning disability die before 65, compared to 1 in 10 people from the general population. People with a learning disability and epilepsy and from minority ethnic backgrounds are more likely to die younger. Nearly half of deaths of people with a learning disability could be avoided, compared to less than a quarter of people from the general population.
Main concerns. In primary and community care, the main concern was not keeping to the rules in the Mental Capacity Act. These include services like the GP, pharmacy, dentist, optician, and care at home. The Act was sometimes not talked about clearly when decisions were made or the rules were not followed. Mental capacity for decision making was not clearly recorded or done regularly. The LeDeR report gave lots of information. It showed what sorts of illnesses were most common in people with a learning disability and autistic people. It showed how important it is for people to get the right treatment and support at the right time. In their 2020-21 LeDeR report, Herefordshire and Worcestershire talked about the important things they would be working on. These included annual health checks, bowel health, mental health, problems with breathing and obesity. It also includes helping people with a learning disability, autistic people and their loved ones to make decisions about their health care. Making decisions about healthcare. To do this, they want to encourage people to use respect forms before a crisis or an emergency happens. A respect form is a summary plan for emergency care and treatment. People should take time to fill in a respect form before they get ill. They can fill one out with the help of a healthcare worker. You can say what is important to you and what you would like to happen in an emergency. What are reasonable adjustments and why are they important? Reasonable adjustments are small changes that can be made by health and social care workers to make things easier for people with a learning disability and autistic people. Here are some examples. Having an appointment at a time that suits you. Having your appointment on time. Having information, including the appointment letter in easy read. Having someone with you, like a support worker or family member. Health professionals who speak clearly and use simple words. More time in an appointment to ask questions and have things explained to you. Maybe a double appointment. Having a quiet place to wait if you get anxious or upset being in noisy or crowded areas. Having a hospital passport which tells people all about you. Having a learning disability acute liaison nurse. Some of these things help me, but not everyone is the same. It's important that a person's doctor knows if there are things that will help make their appointments better. Doctor will be here in a minute.
Hello, Mr. Wright. I'm your consultant. Your poorly leg is caused by arthritis. An operation wouldn't be right for you. I'll give you some pills and a stick to help you get around.
What do you mean I will get better?
Excuse me, Doctor. Does Mr. Wright know what an operation would involve? He might prefer this.
Oh, far too complicated for him to understand. So I don't want to worry him about an operation. I've got other patients to see now. Goodbye.
I'm Natasha from the Dolls team. This is a presentation about the Mental Capacity Act. So what is the Mental Capacity Act 2005? The law says we must help people to make their own decisions. It's for all people over the age of 16 in England and Wales. The Mental Capacity Act is about making sure people are given the support they need to make as many decisions as possible. If a person can't make a decision for themselves, then it might be necessary for others to make a decision on their behalf, and this is known as a best interests decision. It also protects people who need family, friends or paid support staff to make decisions for them. So what is mental capacity? Mental capacity is about being able to make your own decisions. It's decision and time specific. Some people are able to make all decisions about their own lives and health issues. Some people might struggle to make some decisions, yet can make other decisions quite easily. And some people, even with support, can struggle to make any decisions about their lives and health matters. So the legal definition says that someone who lacks capacity cannot do one or more of the following 4 things: understand the information given, retain information long enough to be able to make a decision, use the information available to decide and weigh up the pros and cons, or communicate their decision. But this could be by any means at all, so such as talking or using sign language, or even simple muscle movements such as blinking of an eye or squeezing a hand. So the rules to use when assessing capacity, these come from the 5 principles of the Mental Capacity Act. So 1 is the assumption that people can make their own decisions unless it is shown otherwise that they can't. Number 2 is to give people as much support as they need to make decisions. Number 3, adults have the right to make decisions that other people might disagree with, and we know this as an unwise decision. Number 4, the decision must be what is best for the person and not for anyone else. Number 5, when a decision is made for somebody, it must give them as much freedom as possible.
I'm going to discuss what support can be given to help you decide. Information should be provided in a simpler way, such as using easier words or pictures, choosing a time and place that will help you make the decision, such as the best time of day, having support from family, friends, or an advocate to help you voice what is important to you. What happens if someone doesn't have the capacity to decide? Professionals may decide to undertake what is known as a best interest checklist. They find out how best to support a person to make a decision. They try to discover the person's own wishes, feelings, and beliefs. They involve family, friends, and consult those who know the person for any relevant information about the person's wishes, feelings, beliefs, or values. They consider if an advocate is needed. An advocate is called an IMCA, and an IMCA may be needed if someone does not have any family or close friends, and if the decision is something serious, such as relating to accommodation or medical treatment. They will identify all relevant circumstances that need to be considered. They will avoid discrimination and assumptions being made about a person, and avoid restricting the person's rights. They will consider if a decision can wait until a person can decide for themselves, such as when a person is experiencing temporary periods of ill health. It's really important for people to think about planning ahead. One way that somebody could plan ahead is by thinking about lasting power of attorney. Lasting power of attorney is when a person or persons that you choose to speak to act for you in the future, if you use capacity to decide for yourself. So you can appoint somebody to act or people to act on your behalf. There are 2 types of lasting power of attorney. The first one is property and financial affairs, and the second one is health and welfare. Important information about lasting power of attorney. You have to have the mental capacity to make a lasting power of attorney. The person you want to make decisions for you is called an attorney. You can have more than one attorney, and you can ask that they agree on a decision, or you can let them act jointly or separately. It's important to remember that without a lasting power of attorney, family or friends might not be able to make decisions for you. Next, I'm going to explain about what a court-appointed deputy is. If you are assessed as not having the mental capacity to decide on decisions such as health and treatment, welfare, how you live your life and the care and support you need, property or what you own, or finances and your money, The Court of Protection can then appoint a deputy to act for you. The court will grant an order saying how they can and how they cannot support you. This could be given to an individual person or to an organisation who are supporting you.
Hello Nick, I'm Dr. Smith. We've taken some x-rays and we can see why you're having trouble getting around. There are quite a few number of things we can do. Would you like me to get you some information about it?
Yes, please.
I think Nick may need a little help to understand the information given to him. Maybe his mum or support worker can help with this, and then if he needs further help we could get the liaison nurse in to make the information in easy read to help Nick understand.
That's a good idea, nurse. What do you think, Nick?
Thank you. I think about it.
Okay, thank you, Nick. Nice meeting you.
The Care Act Advocacy. The Care Act 2014. The Care Act states that local authorities must prevent need for care and support, manage provider guidance to reduce the risk of services not working or not being available, provide advice and guidance to people in their communities, shape the market to meet the needs of people, look for gaps in service provision, set up an adult safeguarding board, and promote well-being of individuals. And importantly, particularly in regards to my own role, is provide independent advocacy. So what is advocacy? Well, the definition of advocacy says, advocacy is taking action to help people say what they want, secure their rights, represent their interests, and obtain services they need. Advocates and advocacy providers work in partnership with the people they support and take their side. Advocacy promotes social inclusion, equality, and social justice. The principles of advocacy. It means it is person-led. Advocates will put the person they support first. Empowerment. The advocate will support the person to have choice and control in their lives. Equal opportunity. Advocates make reasonable adjustments to ensure people are able to benefit from their involvement. Accessibility. Advocacy is free to eligible people and information is provided in an easy to understand and accessible format. Supporting advocates. Advocates will be trained and supported to help them help people. Accountability. The advocacy service is accountable to those it supports, and there is opportunity to provide feedback or complaints. Confidentiality. Information held about a person is kept confidential. Safeguarding. Advocates support people to ensure concerns are acted upon, to support people to recognise different forms of abuse and neglect and to have their rights upheld. Clarity of purpose, to help people understand the role of an advocate. And really importantly, advocates are independent. We are independent from all other services and professionals. The role of an advocate. So what can an advocate actually do? We can be on the person's side. We help a person to speak up and be listened to. We help a person to access information. We can support a person by attending meetings with them or on their behalf. We can ensure the person's rights are upheld. We can help a person to weigh up their options. We can help to appeal and challenge decisions being made about them. We can support people to make complaints. We can support when a person is not safe or at risk of harm. And really importantly, we can support people to self-advocate. But what can an advocate not be able to do? We can't provide advice to the person. It's their choice, not ours. We can't mediate or negotiate between a person, their family members, or other professionals. We can't tell somebody what to do or not do. We can't give our own personal opinions. It's the person's opinion that matters, not ours. We can't make decisions for somebody. It's their decision, their choice. We can't keep information from the person. And finally, we cannot share information with others without the person's consent. So who the Care Act applies to and who is eligible for a Care Act advocate? It applies to people, adults who need care and support, carers with care and support needs, young people with care and support needs who are approaching transition from childhood to adulthood, and young carers with care and support need approaching transition from childhood to adulthood. And they may be going through one of these processes: an assessment, support planning, reviewing their needs, or a safeguarding inquiry or review. Two conditions have to be met. The person may have substantial difficulty being involved in a process, and there is no one appropriate and available to support and represent the person's wishes and feelings. So substantial difficulty, what does it mean? Well, the Care Act says a person may have difficulty to understand relevant information and retain that relevant information. They may struggle to use or weigh up the information as part of being involved in one of those key processes I mentioned previously. And they may really struggle to communicate their views, wishes, and feelings. An appropriate person, what does that mean? Well, what the Care Act says is an appropriate person is 1, willing and able to facilitate the person's active involvement with a process, and number 2, the person agrees to being supported by them. The appropriate person cannot be someone who is providing the person with care and support in a professional capacity or paid basis. Number 2, is not available to actively support the person in the process. And 3, really importantly, be somebody the person does not wish to be supported by. When these conditions are met, an independent advocate is required. So this is John's story and a little bit of an overview of how a Care Act advocate was able to support him. John has substantial difficulty communicating his views and wishes. He does not have an appropriate person to advocate for him. An advocate was asked by John's social worker to support him to look at his care plan and if he wanted to make any changes. The advocate noticed that John seemed very sleepy in the mornings. John was missing out on activities in the community and social opportunities because he felt so tired all of the time. The advocate offered to support John to go to the GP to discuss his concerns. John told the advocate that he had tried to tell his doctor, but they didn't really listen to him. The advocate and John made an appointment to see a different GP in the practice. At the appointment, the advocate helped John to explain how he felt and the effect it was having on him, and that John was feeling very isolated as a result. The GP agreed to review John's medication. The medication was reduced slightly, and John started to feel better and more awake. The advocate and John went back to the GP to follow up and discuss how he was getting on. John was pleased to report to the GP he was now going out more and seeing his friends and feeling much happier and less tired. Thank you for listening.
Human rights. The Human Rights Act 1998. The Act applies to everyone in the UK, regardless of whether you are an adult or a child, or whether you live in the UK or visit the UK, disabled or non-disabled. All public bodies must make sure that people get their human rights. Human rights are based on fairness, dignity, respect. Public bodies are government, local council authorities. This includes care providers and schools, the criminal justice system, police and courts, the National Health Service and hospital doctors. Today we are going to talk about the right to life and the right to liberty. The right to life is an absolute. This means your right to life cannot be changed. If a healthcare professional, such as a doctor or nurse, is refusing to give us life-saving treatment because we have a learning disability or are autistic, this is not protecting, respecting, or fulfilling our human rights. We will now show you a short film from the British Institute of Human Rights.
The right to life is covered by Article 2 of the Human Rights Act, and in a health and social care context that covers refusal of treatment, which may fail to protect your right to life. It also covers abuse or neglect. If a healthcare professional is aware that a person while in hospital or while in detention is having suicidal thoughts and they fail to protect that person, that would be covered by Article 2 as well. This role play is Bryn's story, which, as with all of our stories, is a real life story. Bryn was an older man who had complex learning disabilities. His advocate noticed that he was unwell, he was falling asleep more often, so they spoke to their doctor, and Bryn was actually refused a heart scan. The doctor felt that he had no quality of life, and therefore there was no point in them providing the heart scan for Bryn.
So why did you ask me to come today?
I'm Bryn's advocate, and Bryn here has not been feeling well. He keeps falling asleep and he needs a heart scan.
We need to do a few little tests first. Bryn, can you speak?
Okay.
Okay, right. Can you move your right arm up? Like that. That's it. Can you do a bit more back? That's fine. Can you right, leave your arm up there? Can you do your left arm, please? Same again. Can you wiggle your fingers? The two of them. That's fine. I don't think he needs a scan because he has a disability, and to be honest, I don't think he has any quality to life because he's just sitting there. He doesn't go out or nothing.
If he didn't have a disability, would you give him one?
Yeah, I think I would, yeah.
Well, that's discrimination. He has a right to life like everyone else does.
Bryn's advocate raised Bryn's right to life and also Bryn's right not to be discriminated against because his right to life was being infringed on the grounds that he had a learning disability. So not only is it right to life, but it's also a non-discrimination case. So they raised that with the doctor, and in the end it was decided that Bryn would be able to have his heart scan. Sadly, in Bryn's case, the amount of time it took for that process to happen, Bryn actually passed away.
I felt really sad playing Bryn's advocate because this is a sad story.
Playing Bryn was very sad and traumatic, and I think the doctors were very unfair, and he should have got the right treatment just like everybody else.
This story will show how important human rights are.
Article 5. The right to liberty. The right to liberty is a non-absolute. This means our right to liberty can be changed, but any changes of human rights must be lawful, for good reason, and thought about properly. The right to liberty protects us against the controls of our movement. Nobody should lock us in or stop us from going out. This can only happen if the law says so. Care staff cannot lock a person in a room even if they are upset with how they have behaved. A person cannot be stopped from leaving a place such as hospital or care home when there is no law in place saying that this is necessary. Sometimes mental health law says that this is necessary. We will show a short film.
The right to liberty is covered under Article 5 of the Human Rights Act, and this covers things like being restrained for long periods of time, being held somewhere that isn't right for you, not being allowed to leave somewhere. Now, the right to liberty is not an absolute right, it's a non-absolute right, which means that there are certain circumstances in which this right can be taken away. Perhaps that would be done through the Mental Health Act or the Mental Capacity Act, but it would have to be done in a way that was lawful, that it was legitimate and it was proportionate. So in Megan's story, Megan had been living at home with her mum. There had been concerns of abuse, so Megan was moved into an NHS residential unit. Megan had a learning disability, but when she moved into the unit, she wasn't able to go out on her own, and that was something that she'd done her whole life up until this point. But when she was residing in care, she was always accompanied everywhere she went. So if she wanted to go for a walk or meet a friend for coffee, someone always had to go with her. And Megan felt that that was, you know, a disproportionate restriction of her right to liberty.
Where are you going?
I'm going out to the shops for a share.
No, you're not.
I used to go out all the time on my own and before I come here.
Social services said I've got a company here.
Yeah, but I've got rights to go out.
Here we do, my coast.
So in this case, it did go to court, and the court did find that Megan's right to liberty had been restricted in this example disproportionately, and things were changed. So that was a positive result for Megan.
I've got some good news for you. The judge and the court says you can go out every day without your support worker. It doesn't matter if you've got disability or not, you can still do it. You've got the right to liberty to do it all the time.
So basically what the court said was that it didn't matter that Megan had a learning disability, she had the right to liberty in the same way as anyone else would, and that the restrictions that were put in place by the residential unit were disproportionate and were unlawful under Article 5 right to liberty.
Bye, I'm going out now. Bye.
Bye, Megan.
Bye. It was quite sad playing her. So she was very upset angry because she couldn't go anywhere. They won't let her out or nothing to go to shops or something for a walk. No, it's not fair at all. She should have rights to go out and let her walk or just fresh air so she can go somewhere.
That's the end of our presentation. I'd like to thank everyone who's been involved in producing and presenting this. It's been a good experience of co-production between experts by experience and a range of health and social care professionals. I'd particularly like to thank Speakeasy Now health checkers for sharing their personal experiences. It's really important that we listen to the voices of people with lived experience and learn from them. Thank you.